What's up, guys? Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 52. For this episode, Andrew, Nemi, and I host a meetup game. It's a holiday one, so we play some 2-3 at the Westgate, and it's going to be one of my favorite episodes. Poker's been going really well lately, and I'm not interested in making as much money from the YouTube ad revenue. It's not much anyway. I'm more interested in creating videos that I really enjoy watching and making. So this episode's going to be a little bit different. Let's see if you notice it. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Make the money, don't let the money make you. Change the game and let the game change you. I forever remain faithful. All my people stay true. I said, make the money, don't let the money make you. Change the game and let the game change you. I forever remain faithful. All my people stay true. Forget about the bank, fortune in the mansion. Sitting and tripping, watching myself on a plasma. Yeah, I start slipping when I'm thinking about that stuff. Ego on swollen until karma catches that up. How my grandma's number one.
It's December 20th. It's my last session of 2017. A lot of people showed up to play our special holiday 2-3 game. The buy-in is 100 to 500. I'm in for the max. Before I even have time to get settled, I pick up Pocket Kings, my very first hand. The hijack limps in. I raised a 15 from the cutoff. The button wants to get involved. Dumb idea. He 3-bets to 40. The small blind flats. The hijack folds. I put in the 4-bet to 200. The button makes the call. He's got me barely covered. The small blind is also trying to get some Bradley dollars. He calls. We go 3 ways to the flop with over 600 already in the middle. The flop comes 4-3 deuce rainbow. No one should have me beat on this board. I only have one option with my $300 stack. I shove. The only problem is that I'm not actually first to act. I accidentally shove out at turn. This makes the decision for the small blind pretty easy. He checks. My all-in stands. The button tanks for a long time, then eventually makes the call. The small blind folds. We turn our hands over, and the button has pocket queens. I get a clean run out. The turn is a 6, and the river's a jack. It's a huge hand right off the bat. I don't think I've ever doubled up in my first hand before. 2 minutes in, and I've already won $700. My hour lead for this session is insane. It's tough to maintain winning $21,000 an hour in a 2-3 game though. Shortly after, I pick up ace-king offsuit in middle position, folds to me, I bet 12. The cutoff makes the call, the big blind calls as well. We go 3 ways to the flop, comes queen-jack 7 with 2 spades. We've got a gutter and 2 overs. Big blind checks. Seems like a good board to c-bet on. I'm drawing to the nuts. I may have some other cards I can hit to take the lead if I'm behind as well. I bet 20. The cutoff folds. The big blind calls. I'm thinking of a card that's higher than a 9 but lower than a jack. There it is. The dealer puts out the 10 of hearts. We've got what is known as Broadway. The opponent checks. I bet 35. To be honest, I'm not sure why I chose to bet this small. I probably felt that the opponent wasn't that strong and I wanted to keep him in or possibly induce a check raise from him. Still, if I bet big, there are plenty of worse hands that can call on a board discoordinated. The player tosses in 35 to make the call. The dealer puts out the 6 of hearts. The opponent checks. The backdoor flush gets there, but there aren't any real reasons to be afraid of that, especially since I have the ace of hearts. It's a key blocker. I want to get maximum value. I bet 110. This price is reasonable to the big blind. He calls. I turn over ace-king. It's good enough to win it. The big blind shows queen deuce of spades, so he flopped top pair, and a flush draw. We haven't gotten through the first hour yet, and I've already got my stack over 1,300. The cards are going my way, and I'm having a great time drinking with the guys at the table. Really good start to the session so far. Doubled up the first hand with the pocket kings, and then had the ace-king hand. Drilled the nuts on the turn. So I'm up about 800, which is great because I'm stuck, I think, 500 so far this year in 1-3 or 2-3. So with this session, hopefully I'll get unstuck. Here's an overview of the poker room. We have 5 tables running. We had enough people for 6 or more tables, but 1 was down for maintenance. By the time the pizzas arrived that the Westgate provided for us, it's time to move on to table number 2. It's been at least 30 hands since I've gotten pocket kings, so I think it's time to get them again. Folds to me, I raised to 12. The cutoff calls. Now the small blind 3-bets to 51. I put in the 4-bet to 150. Folds back to the small blind. He eventually tosses cards in the muck. He says he folded ace-king. Good fold by him. A few hands later, we get ace-king offsuit on the button. The player who 3-bet and folded last hand opens the 15 from under the gun +1. The hijack calls, and the cutoff calls as well. For some reason I don't 3-bet, I try to get tricky and just call. Sometimes I flat with ace king to mix things up, no real excuse though. The small blind and the big blind call, we go 6 ways to the flop, which is exactly why you should 3-bet so you can avoid these types of situations and narrow down the field. The flop comes king jack 10 with 2 spades, the blinds check, the original pre-flop raiser bets 60, this gets rid of the hijack, the cutoff raises to 150. I've top, but with 3 players still to act behind me on a coordinated board that could have potentially hit everyone's cards harder than mine, I have a relatively easy fold. It's unlikely the cutoff is bluffing with so many people in the hand. I lay it down, the blinds and under the gun +1 all fold as well. The cutoff says he had ace queen for the flop straight. Now it's probably time for me to have a drink.
It's my birthday, man. Corey Prysock. We live in Las Vegas, so appreciate Brad and Andrew doing all the things they're doing. They're pioneering the game, keeping the game alive.
All right,
keep the game of poker alive.
Let's do these shots, man. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Cheers to poker.
Cheers. After the Patron, we head to a new table, and the 7-deuce game is on. If you win with 7-deuce offsuit, then everyone at the table has to give you an additional $5. I pick it up under the gun and raise to 15. The button calls, the other players fold, we're heads up, the flop is Jack 4, not very likely it's going to hit with the button's range very hard. I bet 20. That's enough, the button folds, I win, and everyone has to pay me an additional $5, pretty sweet. Next we pick up pocket 8s on the button, the player under the gun opens to 13. Middle position player calls, I call, the 3 of us see the flop. The flop is 9-7-6 rainbow, we've got a pair and an open-ended straight draw. Both players check, I bet 25. The under the gun player folds, the other player calls, now we're heads up, the turn is another 9. The opponent checks, I've got 2 pair to go along with my open-ender, I bet 55. I prefer a fold from my opponent at this point, but I should have some outs if I get called. No need to worry, the player lays his hand down, the dealer pushes us to the pot. We've got about 1450 in front of us now, so we're up nearly 1,000. That's when I pick up ace-7 offsuit in the big blind. It's a straddle pot. The button opens to 26. Small blind folds. Seems to me that the button's trying to steal it. He's opened several times when it's folded to him in late position. I've got a key blocker. I 3-bet to 85. Ideally, I'd have a suited ace to make this play, so I have a little more equity when I get called. Seems good enough though. The under the gun straddler folds. It's back on the button. He's having none of it. Puts in the 4-bet to 190. Not a whole lot I can do here. I fold. Good game. I got played like a fiddle. Here we've got king 10 of clubs in the cutoff. I opened to 15. Didn't see it was a straddle pot. The button calls and so does the straddler. The 3 of us see the flop. It's 10-7-6 with 2 spades. We've got top pair, good kicker. The under the gun player checks. I bet 20. Both players call. The turn is the deuce of hearts. Again, the under the gun player checks. If I was ahead on the flop, I should still be ahead. There are lots of possible draws. I don't know which cards I'll need to fade on the river. I bet 85 to charge the opponents if they want to see another card. Both players end up folding. We take it down. We haven't had pocket kings in a while. Whoa, there they are. That's crazy. I just mentioned them and they appear. It's that easy. We're in the big blind. It's a straddle pot. The player in the cutoff opens at 21. This is the same guy I 3-bet earlier with ace-7 offsuit and had to fold to his 4-bet. There's already an interesting dynamic here in which he might think I'm after him if I raise. Little does he know I've got a big hand. I 3-bet to 55. The cutoff calls for 34 more. The flop comes ace-king-8 with 2 hearts. We've got middle set, which is essentially the nuts. The cutoff should have 4-bet if he had pocket aces, so there's no reason to think he has that. I check. The cutoff falls for the trap and bets 65. Not a bad idea to flat, in case he's bluffing. Maybe he'll bluff again on the turn. I'm hoping he'll have a hand that he can call a raise with though. I make it 175. He folds, then says he had 10-7 of clubs for absolutely nothing. After that, it's time to head to the 4th table. I didn't play any interesting hands, but I did take a shot with everyone here for Greg's birthday. He's the dude on my left.
Happy birthday, Greg. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it, everybody. And thank you for hosting us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, man, no problem. Here's the last interesting hand of the night. I'm at the 5th table and pick up ace-king offsuit in the big blind. We're playing the button game, which means whoever's on the button has to add $5 and place it in front of them. Once the player on the button wins a pot, he or she collects all the money that was added to it. At this point, there's $55 in additional button money, so there's a big incentive for the button to be aggressive. The The player under the gun +1 opens to 15. 2 players call in middle position. Now the button, 3 bets to 50. The small blind folds. The action's on me. It's extremely likely that the button is 3 betting light. I've got a great hand. I 4 bet to 190, hoping to take it down pre-flop. Because the button is very deep and actually has me covered, she's probably the biggest winner on the night. Fortunately, all the players fold. I don't have to play a huge pot out of position. The session ends on a high note. We played for almost 6 hours. I rack up over 1,500.
Let's get rich and buy our parents' homes in the south of France. Let's get rich and give everybody nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. Let's get rich and build a house on a mountain, making everybody look like ants. From way up there, you and I, you and I.
Finished the session, won 1,000, a little over, which is nice because I was stuck, I think 500 or a little bit more going into tonight in 2-3 over the course of the year. So I got unstuck for the year. Pretty excited about that. I think I'm up 400 or 500 now. Time to go drink.
These are my friends, this is who they have been for always. These are my days, this is how they stay. Hey, hey, these are my friends, this is who they remain forever. This is how we stay. Hey.
That's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section. This episode was a little bit different. I use music that I actually enjoy listening to. Usually I use no copyright music, which means I'm allowed to monetize the videos. There's not a lot of money to be made from YouTube ad revenue anyway, so I thought I would just give this a try. It's more fun for me if I make an episode where I'm using music that I actually like listening to. If you guys liked it, please let me know in the comment section and I'll be able to do it a little bit more frequently. Big thanks to the Westgate for allowing Andrew and I to host the meetup games there. And big thanks to everybody who came out, because that was a lot of fun. We had probably our best turnout ever. So maybe we'll do some more 2-3 games in the future because people responded really well to it. A couple of announcements. My birthday's February 26th. I turn 30. And I want to hang out with you guys, the viewers. I really appreciate you watching, and this year's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to invite everybody to Gold Spike. It's in downtown Las Vegas. It's a really cool bar. They've got a bunch of life-size beer pong, life-size Jenga, and a ton of other games. My brother's flying out. I'm going to have some other friends come hang out with us too. Love to see you guys there. And then the last thing is, if you haven't checked out offthefelt.com yet, please do so. It's the poker forum site that my brother and I started. We've got over 1,100 members now, and the more people we get on there, the better it's going to be. I do a lot of hand analysis and then talk about a ton of other poker-related topics too. So check it out. I'll have a link down below in the description box, and it's absolutely free to join. That's it for this episode, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Good luck at the tables, and I'll see you next time.